She was a decorated cop, trusted by all, until one shocking crime branded her a murderer. Sentenced to death, her fate seemed sealed. But just when hope was gone, her loyal German Shepherd did something no one expected, an act so powerful. It exposed the real killer and changed everything. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Sergeant Amelia Torres was the kind of officer people trusted instantly. Decorated for bravery, respected by her peers, and loved by her community, she carried herself with quiet strength. Yet, behind every medal and every act of courage stood her loyal partner, Rex, a German Shepherd trained for the toughest missions. From the first day they were paired, their bond was unshakable. Rex wasn't just a K-9 unit. He was her shadow, her protector, and her closest friend. On patrol, he moved with discipline, sniffing out danger before anyone else noticed. Off duty, he was her companion, curling at her feet as she reviewed case files late into the night. Together, Amelia and Rex had taken down criminals, rescued children, and served justice. To the world, they seemed unstoppable, a team built on loyalty and trust. Neither knew that very loyalty would soon be tested in the harshest way imaginable. The news broke on a stormy night. An influential businessman was found murdered in his home. The crime sent shockwaves through the city, not just for its brutality, but for the stunning accusation that followed. Evidence pointed directly to Sergeant Amelia Torres. Investigators claimed her fingerprints were on the weapon, her car seen near the crime scene, her name scribbled in the victim's final notes. Overnight, the woman once hailed as a hero became the face of betrayal. Reporters crowded outside her home, flashing cameras as neighbors whispered in disbelief. Through it all, Rex stayed close, his protective gaze never leaving her side. Amelia swore her innocence, her voice trembling with conviction. "I didn't do this," she pleaded, but few believed her. The case against her appeared airtight, leaving even her closest allies unsure. What no one realized was that the truth was buried, and only Rex sensed it. The courthouse was packed from wall to wall. Reporters jostled for space, their cameras flashing as Amelia Torres was led inside in handcuffs. Once admired for her courage, she now faced a jury that looked at her with suspicion. Every seat was filled, the air heavy with judgment. The prosecution painted her as a double-faced officer, respected by day, but entangled in secret dealings by night. Witnesses were called, some swearing they had seen her near the victim's home. The alleged evidence was paraded before the jury. Her fingerprints, her vehicle, even fabricated financial records that suggested a motive. Through it all, Rex sat by Amelia's side, his head held high, amber eyes fixed on every word spoken. He didn't understand the law, but he sensed her fear and her innocence. At moments when Amelia's shoulders slumped, Rex nudged her hand, reminding her she wasn't alone. Yet public opinion was merciless. Murmurs of traitor echoed in the gallery, drowning out the voice of truth. Amelia's attorney struggled, every argument buried beneath the weight of carefully constructed lies. And as the trial dragged on, a chilling thought settled over her. The truth might never be enough. The courtroom was silent, so quiet that even the shuffle of papers seemed deafening. The jury filed back into their seats, faces unreadable. Amelia's heart pounded as the judge unfolded the slip of paper. Every second stretched like an eternity. Rex sat rigid beside her, ears alert, sensing the tension. "Guilty," the foreman declared. A collective gasp swept the room. The judge's voice followed, cold and final. "Sentenced to death." Amelia's world shattered. She gripped the edge of the table, fighting back tears, but Rex pressed against her leg, grounding her in the storm. Her mother sobbed in the back row, while reporters scribbled headlines that would brand her forever. Amelia looked at Rex, her voice a broken whisper. "I didn't do this." His steady gaze never wavered. To everyone else, the case was closed. But in Rex's loyal eyes burned a silent vow. The fight for truth wasn't over. The days that followed were filled with despair. Amelia sat in her cell, her future sealed by a verdict she couldn't accept. But Rex refused to surrender. Whenever the officers brought him to visit, his behavior grew restless. He sniffed obsessively at Amelia's uniform, pawed at the evidence box, and barked whenever he caught sight of the files stacked on the desk. At first, the guards dismissed it as agitation. "The dog knows she's doomed," one scoffed. But Amelia noticed the difference. Rex wasn't panicking, he was pointing. His sharp instincts, the same ones that had saved lives on duty, were now locked onto something no one else cared to see. One evening, as a young defense attorney gathered documents, Rex lunged at a folder, dragging it to the floor. Scattered across the tiles were photos of the crime scene. Rex sniffed one image furiously, then growled low. The attorney frowned, picking it up with new interest. "What is it, boy?" Amelia leaned forward, hope flickering in her weary eyes. Rex barked once, loud and sharp, as if urging them to look closer. Something in those files wasn't right, and for the first time, someone was willing to listen. The young attorney, intrigued by Rex's persistence, spread the crime scene photos across the table. In one, the supposed murder weapon lay on the floor, but Rex barked sharply, pawing at the image until his nails scraped the paper. The attorney narrowed his eyes. "You're telling me something's off, aren't you?" Driven by the dog's strange focus, he returned to the evidence room that night. Rex followed, nose twitching, pulling hard against the leash until he stopped at the locked cabinet where the weapon was stored. When the drawer opened, Rex growled, low and menacing. The attorney examined the knife carefully. Something was wrong. The blood on it didn't match the victim's type. Further testing confirmed it. The knife had been planted, its evidence fabricated. Someone had framed Amelia. Rex's instincts hadn't just been agitation. They had been a compass pointing directly toward the truth. With each new detail, the case unraveled. False witness statements, doctored notes, and hidden surveillance footage began to surface. The real story was darker, deeper than anyone imagined. The attorney looked at Rex in awe. "You just saved her," he whispered. Amelia's partner wasn't done fighting, and now, the truth had its first spark of light. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the defense attorney rose with fresh evidence. Amelia sat rigid, her heart thundering in her chest. Rex, seated faithfully at her side, wagged his tail once as if he knew what was coming. "Your Honor," the attorney began, voice steady. "The so-called murder weapon used to convict Sergeant Torres is tainted. Independent testing proves the blood on it does not belong to the victim." A gasp rippled through the gallery. He continued, laying out photos, lab reports, and video footage that revealed another man, an associate of the victim, entering the house that night. The prosecution sputtered, but the tide had turned. The jury leaned forward, eyes wide. The judge's gavel struck sharply. "Proceed." At that moment, Rex barked, startling everyone. He pulled free, padding toward the man in the gallery, who had been shifting uneasily since the evidence surfaced. The man froze, sweat beading on his brow. All eyes turned as the attorney declared, "There is your real killer." The courtroom erupted. Guards seized the man as Amelia covered her mouth, tears streaming. Rex returned to her side, triumphant. Against all odds, her loyal partner had delivered justice no human could. When the gavel finally struck, declaring Amelia Torres free, the courtroom erupted in cheers. Reporters shouted questions, flashbulbs burst like fireworks, but Amelia heard none of it. She dropped to her knees, wrapping her arms around Rex, burying her face in his thick fur. "You saved me," she whispered, voice breaking. Outside, the winter air felt different, crisp, alive, filled with freedom. The attorney patted Rex on the head. "This dog isn't just loyal," he said. "He's a hero." Strangers who once doubted her now reached out in apology, their eyes softened with respect. Amelia looked down at Rex, who gazed back with steady, unshakable devotion. In his eyes, she saw the truth. Justice wasn't delivered by courts or verdicts alone. It was carried by loyalty, courage, and love. Hand on Rex's collar, Amelia walked forward, not as a disgraced officer, but as a woman forever redeemed by her faithful partner.